Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Kustas, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hello, and welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host and your brand new author. Holy crap, I can actually say that now. I am Noelle Kustas, and yes, saying that still makes me want to maybe be sick to my stomach. It's so wild. Listen, I'm not recording this weeks later with everything tied up with a pretty little bow. Nope. This is literally 2 days after, well, technically not even 48 hours after the book went live, which means you're getting me in real time. You're going to get me raw, unfiltered, still trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And don't worry, I'm not going to cry my way through this episode. No, friends, today I've got my big girl panties on and they are pulled all the way up because let me tell you, there have been a lot of weird emotions swirling around. Shayna, my girl, if you're listening, my emotions gal, I'm definitely going to need to book an appointment. Okay, so be in touch. I know we have been, but I am not even kidding about this. Here's the thing, ladies, this isn't just about me and my little book baby. This is about what it really looks like when you step into something bigger than yourself. It is the roller coaster ride that nobody warns you about. And yeah, there were the tears. There was a whole lot of ick. I'll explain that later. There were celebrations and there were the what did I just do moments and the humility of realizing that when you shine, people are going to have opinions. And that is oh so fun. So that's why I wanted to have this conversation today because whether it's a book, maybe it's a business or a new dream, or just finally doing the thing you've been putting off. This ride, it is going to be for all of us. And today I'm going to give you the tea. So, this all started with what I can only describe as a full body yes. That's what I call it. When I know I'm all in with something, I call it a full body yes. You know, those moments when something just literally drops in your lap, and before your brain even kicks in, your whole being is already shouting, do it, do it. That was me. Okay. Now, was I naive? Absolutely. I thought, oh, this is going to be easy. A collaborative book. I'll write my little chapter. I'll hand it in. I'll check the dream box and I'm going to move on. Spoiler alert, it was definitely not that simple. But here is the thing. My grandma and my mom, who, I know you hear often about if you've been around here, they have always said, Noelle, you've got a book in you, especially my mom. Now, my grandma has seen me and, she has that reoccurring dream of me speaking to audiences, big audiences. My mom has always said, you're a writer, you've got a book in you. And for years, I would just smile and nod. Sometimes I'd brush it off. Sometimes I'm like, yep, I do. But I wasn't even really thinking about it because it just seemed too big. I mean, God knows that I have a lot that has happened in my life that I could write all over the place and I could write so many things. We'll talk about that too. But this opportunity landed and it felt like the perfect door to walk through. Even if I had no clue what was waiting on the other side, there was this trust that just kind of carried me in. It was a trust that, okay, maybe they were right. Trust that maybe that this was the start of something I couldn't see yet. And maybe you've had that too. That thing people keep pointing out about you, the gift that you have been sitting on, the nudge that you can't ignore. Sometimes it all takes just you saying yes to the thing that scares you half to death. Or it's maybe the thing that it just feels so big that it's beyond your comprehension. Or it shows up in a way that you didn't expect. That, yes, could look really small from the outside, but on the inside, it's an initiation, you guys. It's the moment you start becoming her, the woman who leads, the woman who shares boldly, or who just simply lets her story be seen. Because I am going to tell you, the other authors in this book are all in it for different reasons, but one in particular, I'm going to tell you, she is the quietest, sweetest, most precious soul, but she has a story to tell. And her story is meant to be seen. And man, it took some bravery for her to put it out there. And I am so gosh darn proud of her. So proud of her. FYI, her chapter's right after mine. Oh, you guys, it's so good. So let's just talk about the process of actually writing this chapter. So here's the truth. When I first sat down to even think about where to begin, holy moly. Again, I've had a lot of things happen to me in my life, right? And I've seen a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things. I've got a lot of life to pull from. And there were 100 different starting points I could have chosen. But thankfully, during this process, we were given a framework to work with. And honestly, it almost felt like someone was just handing me a life raft because at least I didn't have to stare at this blank page wondering which chapter of my life was I going to crack open first. But even with that framework, even with that structure, it was a mind game. It was such a mind game because writing your story isn't just about the words, it's about the people in it. And I knew that no matter where I decided to start, I had to approach this with respect. I had to approach it with respect for my kids, respect for my husband, respect for my former in laws, who I am still extremely close to, and even respect for my ex husband, who, for the record, I have zero communication with. And that's not always easy. And anyway, that's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother story. You can read my chapter and you'll get part of that story as to why, or you'll get the majority of that. But dear Lord, once I started writing, here came all the feels. Because how do you tell a story in just a few pages? How do you make it land in a way that makes sense while also knowing there's a whole world of details that you're going to have to leave out? Because I only had a certain amount of words that I could write. Being that it was a collaborative book, we had guidelines. So that part was another mind game. That part nearly took me down. So thankfully, we did have a retreat in the middle of this process, and that gave me some clarity. But there were still moments I was in a full on tailspin. And one non negotiable for me before I went any further was getting my kids' permission. Not only did I want to have respect, I wanted to have their permission. I needed them to be old enough to have a voice in whether or not parts of our story got told. Because at the end of the day, it's not just my story, it's their story too. And their yes mattered more than anything else to me. So once I got that permission and we moved forward, I moved forward, I reached my final word count and I hit submit. I literally put the whole thing away for months. I did my edits, I closed the file, and I refused to keep looking at it because otherwise I would have second guessed myself right into the ground. This whole process is a wannabe perfectionist's nightmare. And that's who I am. I I often say that I'm a wannabe perfectionist. It's like my brain wanted to pick at every single sentence until it bled. So, nope, I decided I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to walk away. The only other time I even peeked at it was back in March when I pulled it out to write a keynote based on the chapter. And let me tell you, the keynote ended up being way juicier than the book version. But that's how I survived it, by refusing to keep tinkering and by trusting that what I had written was enough. So now we get to the good part. Let's just be real. This is where it got really crazy and I would say completely unexpected. The weeks leading up to the launch day, oh my gosh, I was kind of a nervous wreck. I remember feeling, some stress. There was some excitement. There was this expectation. There were even a few tears. There were the deer in the headlights moment of what did I just sign up for and what am I doing? It was like one day I was unstoppable. And then the next day I was literally Googling, how do I fake my own disappearance so nobody notices this book ever came out or never came out? I mean, honestly, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Like, how can I like not tell people about it now? I was wanting to backpedal. But let me back up for a second too, because this book was actually supposed to be launched in April. But for all kinds of reasons, it got postponed, and that completely threw me for a loop then. Because you see, I had already knew that August and September were going to be insane personally and professionally. I already had things on the docket that, kids going back to school. I am in a nonprofit organization that I am a chair of a huge retreat that we put on for over 500 kids. And that happens the beginning of October. So you can just imagine what August and September look like. And even then, I had no idea just how much more was going to end up on my plate. Because, ladies, let's just throw a whole new project on and a second launch that I never saw coming, all happening at the same exact time. Like, what in the holy heck was going on? Can I just throw up again? That's just where I was at all the time. Like, oh my gosh. So, naive little me was like, it's fine. You've got this. You're just going to be super full. You just got to be prepared. Just get your social media ready, schedule a few posts, maybe pop some champagne, and boom, your launch is going to be done. Oh, how hilarious that is. Because launching a book is no joke. Whether it's a collaborative book or your own book, it's no joke. It's not just about a few cute posts and a Canva graphic and you just telling a few friends and family about it. It is a full-time job of asking, sharing, promoting, posting, refreshing, praying, crying, laughing, and then doing it all again the next day. Like legit, I'm in day 2 and this is what happens in it all. And what made it even crazier was the mind game in my head. One minute I was like, okay, Noelle, just chill out. It's just one chapter. Don't make such a big deal about it. Who do you think you are calling yourself an author when it's only a chapter? Hello, imposter syndrome, totally hitting me like a ton of bricks. Then the next minute, it hit me like a freight train. Holy moly, buckle up, because this wasn't just about me. There were 6 other authors counting on me, depending on me to show up for them. And I'll be darned if I was going to drop the ball for them. And then that realization flipped the switch that this was bigger than me. And it was time to rise to it. So, okay. So now we're in launch day. All right. So we're here. Let me explain this the only way I can because it did not feel like a normal day from the moment I opened my eyes. It felt like stepping into a fun house at the county fair. At first, okay, so I want you to imagine you're at the county fair, and I want you to imagine the fun house. At first, you're like all hyped. The lights are flashing, the music's pumping because they always have that music, right? And you're like, yes, this is my moment. And then, bam, you walk smack into a mirror you didn't see coming. Like in there, those of you that can't see me, I've got my hands going all over the place because it's like, those mirrors that are everywhere, and you're like, boom, bouncing back and forth. You're bumping into the walls. You're laughing one minute. You're like about ready to cry the next because you hit your head so hard. And you're just trying to figure out which way is up while still smiling, like, yeah, everything's fine. I've got this. Spoiler alert, yesterday, I did not have it. Every time I thought, okay, this is the flow, I can breathe now, I would literally hit another curve. So it was like this adrenaline would start to spike with messages and screenshots of friends searching the book, then crash when nothing was updating on the site. We're like, refresh, 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 and nothing is updating. It was these highs and lows, and there were more highs and lows, like legit an emotional whiplash in a funhouse maze. And to top it all off, I want you to picture the end of Grease. Because when I think of a fun house, I think of the movie Grease, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John spinning all cute at the end of the fun house, right? Their hair's all perfect. By the way, I totally wanted to be her, totally singing their hearts out. Yeah. hmm For me, I hopped in that fun house whirly thing at the end, and I got whipped around, fell on my butt, and got spit out of the side, landing face first on the ground. I was like, I wasn't hopping off, still singing. I was literally exhausted. I was not singing. I was not dancing. I was just laying there like, what the actual heck just happened? My son even said, Mom, I've never seen you like this. Like you have literally, what was the word he used? He said something about like, was just rotting in my bed. Because normally I am not like that. He's like, what is going on, Mom? You're just like rotting in your bed. And here's what most people don't realize about launch day. It's not just about the emotions, it's the systems. If you want that shiny little number one bestseller tag on Amazon, there is strategy involved with this. The algorithm doesn't just hand it to you. You have to create the momentum. People have to be searching for the book. You have to have reviews coming in, high vibe energy online so it gets pushed out to new audiences. Basically, it's like throwing a party where you have to keep everyone dancing for 24 hours straight. And for me, that's exhausting. That's what my husband does. My husband's a DJ, he's a musician on the side. Like, he loves to do that. That is not how I typically roll. And then there were the behind the scenes curveballs. Okay, so I'm just going to say this. Two authors received really heavy, heartbreaking news. One received it the week of, and then one on launch day itself. My friend Elizabeth and I, who is one of the authors, we had planned to meet at the coffee shop to get hyped, to go live on Instagram. We were going to celebrate, and we did. But I'm going to tell you, we were there for like 3 hours, and it turned into a full on counseling session in between hitting post because real life was happening all around us, and we could not ignore it. Oh, yeah. And then, did I mention I got a flat tire on the way home from the coffee shop? And one of the authors got a flat tire that day too. Yep, because apparently the universe and God was like, let's just add one more thing to see if she cracks. I'm not saying God doesn't do that to punish us. So I'm gonna like retract that. But in the moment, it felt like that. And it was exhausting. It was exhausting. And I'm gonna say my husband handled the flat tire with total patience and love. My family was listening to all of my rants that night. But by the time evening rolled around, I'm just going to admit it. Like it's embarrassing, but it is true. I was so pissy. here I was having what I felt like the most massive life-changing day. And for my family, it was just another day. It was just another Thursday. My communication was completely off. I'm going to just say that. My husband asked, "What should we do for dinner?" And I literally just snapped back, "I don't know. I haven't even thought about it." And then the next thing I know, I'm grocery shopping, I'm cooking dinner. I'm totally irritated, but I am too drained to say anything out loud. So I did the really icky passive thing and I pouted. No celebration, just a regular old night in our house. And to top it off, and I even took pictures because I was like, I want to remember this moment. We even ended the evening by going through kitchen drawers because my husband has been going crazy over the mountain of water bottles and coffee mugs that we've collected. So while my brain was still spinning from launch chaos, my night ended in a mug and tumbler intervention. It was honestly comical. It did get me to laugh, and my son and I and my husband, we were all laughing. So yeah, launch day was basically a fun house of emotions. It was a fun house of systems. There was chaos, there was curveballs, and I do feel like it kind of chewed me up and spit me out. But here's the thing. Even lying there on the ground at the end of the day, lying in my bed, I should say, I was tired. The energy was gone, but I could still say I did it. It wasn't pretty, but it was mine forever. Like that day will forever be etched in my mind. And that is the reason why I am recording this podcast. Because I was like, I've got to do it when I am like in my feels. I have to do it when I'm in my feels because it's going to land so much better. But I do want to just share a few things that I just feel like, it's so, um, I feel like it could be so relatable for all of you listening. And that's the hard parts, the stuff that doesn't make it into the pretty posts, right? So this is like the icky part. This is the vulnerability hangover that, how do I say it? It's like that gnawing little voice that says, "Who do you think you are?" Because those words just love to come up. It's those old stories we tell ourselves. And it's like the humility of putting yourself out there wide open for people to see and to judge and to pick apart because the truth is that these words are forever out there. This book is out there. There's no taking it back. And sometimes when you're shining or when you're having a moment, not everyone is going to clap for you. Some people are going to cheer you like crazy, and others are going to sit back. They're going to maybe fold their arms, roll their eyes. Some are going to quietly question you. Others might flat out judge you. And it stings. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's like, ooh, it stings because you've poured your heart into something, and the last thing you want to feel is dismissed or like people don't understand you. And I'll be real with you, I struggle with this too. Not just being judged, but catching myself judging others when they take up too much space. So, for example, like I'll see someone standing in their power, I'll see them like posting, just super boldly, or maybe they're just speaking about something that they're really passionate about. And sometimes my first thought isn't, "You go, girl." Sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, ugh. But here's what I've learned with that. When I look deeper, it's not really about her. It's about me. It's me thinking, huh, man, I wish I was doing that. I wish I had the guts to show up like that. So sometimes it comes from my own like insecurities and stuff. And that's a hard truth to admit, but it is totally real. And then on the flip side, when it's me putting myself out there, I find myself wishing people could just see my heart, wishing that They knew the love behind what I'm doing instead of assuming or criticizing or misunderstanding me. That's the messy middle that we all live in. Wanting to be seen clearly and learning to also check ourselves when envy or judgment creeps in. And what I've learned and what just I feel like I'm continuing to learn this is making peace with judgment, both mine and others, because it's a part of stepping into our next chapters. Their opinion doesn't define you, your courage does. And if you're waiting until everybody understands you or everybody's clapping for you or agrees with you before you move, you're going to be waiting forever because it's never going to be perfect. And here's where it all kind of blends together because let's be honest, it's hard to be a woman sometimes. We hate tooting our own horns. We typically downplay our wins. We worry about being too much or making someone else uncomfortable. And the truth is, sometimes the hardest part isn't the strangers online. It's actually realizing that the people you thought would be your biggest cheerleaders aren't. Mm, there's like no sign of them, no message, no shares. And that can sting deeper than anything. But here's the good part of this. I've had to remind myself sometimes it's not personal. You guys, sometimes people are just drowning in their own lives, their own chaos, and they literally don't have the capacity to show up even if they love you. And I'm going to own that too, because I've been guilty of this too. I've had women I adore doing amazing things or going through big things. And I didn't show up for them the way that I wish I could have. Simply because life was just happening. So it's like this disappointment, but then on the other side of it, it's this grace. So it's a combination of it. But there is a beautiful twist to it. The people who come out of nowhere blew me away. The ones that I hadn't heard of from year or hadn't heard from for years, these were people I didn't even know were watching. I didn't even know were paying attention. Suddenly, all they're there. They show up to support you, to celebrate you, to cheer you on, and that feels surreal. And then, of course, I just have to share this last kind of layer to all of this that I was recognizing as I was reflecting last night. And this morning, I had to really have some quiet time to just breathe, is understanding that we all change. We all grow up, we mature, we evolve. But even with all of that, not everyone trusts that or even realizes it. The woman I am now is not the woman I was years ago. I'm not perfect, far from it, but I'm no longer trying to fit in or please everyone. I'm learning to be comfortable in my own skin and to stand in my power. I'm learning, I'm learning how to stand in my power and take up space. And for me, at this stage of life, it's also about being able to lay my head down on the pillow at night knowing I did the best that I could today. I led with integrity, and whatever happens tomorrow, at least I know nothing's coming back to bite me that I had control over. That's what this whole journey has shown me. Women supporting women is the business that I'm in, and it is complicated. It is messy. It is imperfect. And also, it is breathtakingly beautiful. when we get it right. And the more we practice cheering, forgiving, standing tall in who we are, and another biggie that I had to learn is the receiving part. Learning how to receive and say thank you. The more we do this and the more we practice this, the more we all get to rise together for real. So, wherever you are in your journey, maybe you're dreaming of writing your own book one day, or maybe you're just standing at the edge of something that's like new or maybe really scary. I hope this episode reminds you that you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to wait until you're ready. You just have to say yes. You just have to step in, let yourself be seen, and keep riding the roller coaster, even when it feels like you're going to throw up. Because on the other side of that is the growth and the clarity and a deeper version of you that you haven't even met yet. And listen, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have another book in me one day, like my own book. But let me be clear, there is no way that I'm walking through this process again anytime soon. You guys, I'm taking a little break, and this is like when I had my kids. Alexa, oh man, she was a tough pregnancy. I was so sick, and she was such a colicky little thing. And I knew that I did not have the capacity to just jump back in and do it all over again. I'm kind of feeling the same thing right now. This launch was like my colicky little newborn, beautiful, worth it, but so exhausting. So, yes, there is going to be another book that's going to come out eventually, but mama needs to take a breather first. And the good news, when I do it again, I'll be walking into it with the lessons and the growth and the resilience that this round gave me. So, here's to saying yes. Here's to the messy middles, to the fun house rides, to the cheers, and even all of those little side eyes. And most of all, to every single one of us who dares to rise anyway. And hey, today we see if we actually make it to bestseller. The book already snagged the #1 new release, but does it really matter? Do the titles actually matter? Okay, wait. I'm going to get on a tangent. So that's an episode for another day. What matters right now is this: I'm a freaking author and I am going to own it. You guys, I love you and appreciate you so much. I appreciate you showing up here, whether it's your first time or you come week after week. I so appreciate you. You feel like family to me. So, if you would like, go out and grab that book. The link is right here in the show notes. And if you feel called to it, we'd love for you to write a review. I promise you're going to enjoy the read. The other authors who I now get to call my friends are pretty extraordinary, and their stories are going to blow you away. So pick it up if you feel called, and keep rising, keep shining, and know that today, your best day is right here waiting for you. All right, you guys, see you next week.
Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.